Here we are. Hey, Mom Nation, it is Katie here with another Live and Learn. I think we're up to like 100 Live and Learns. Can you believe that, Brittany? I think we've done this like 100 times.
That's a lot. That's good.
We are right. We are getting the information out there that our moms need to know. And today is definitely that. We are getting the information out there that moms are wanting. I mean, I don't know how many conversations I have had, especially with the way things have been over the last 5 or 6 months. I don't know how many conversations I had about this topic, but it's been a ton. So Brittany, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you are here to teach us today.
I am here to teach us about schools and what your school options are, how to choose good schools, and that help exists. I'm an Arizona native, born and raised here. I was a school teacher. I was homeschooled. I taught public schools. I write curriculum online, and my kids were in a charter. So I've got a little bit of all those things.
Of everything, yeah.
Yep, I know all the school types. And I just saw a need in the community that moms aren't getting any help in figuring out where to send their kids for school. And I thought that's silly. We have college counselors helping us find colleges. Why is no one helping moms find kindergartens and all the best ones? So I realized I could help, and I started helping.
Well, that's amazing, because I'll tell you how my experience went. I had my preschooler, and I knew kinder was coming, and we actually we weren't really interested in staying in the area we were in. So we decided, okay, we're going to move to another area of town, and we'll just see what the schools are there. And so, truth be told, I mean, I happen to love the school that he's in. I think it's a great fit for him, but I was honestly looking at ratings. I was just like, oh, this is an A+ school. Cool. Here you go. Drop him in there. Got a boundary exemption. Good to go. But that's not the whole story, right? That's not really what we should be looking at.
There are so many things to consider, and moms know that. There are so many things. And today, hopefully I can just break it down for you guys and let you know what your choices are. And I want everyone to feel confident in their choice and know that, hey, this is why we chose this school, and it really fits my child's educational needs and our family values and what we believe as a family is important. So most school choices, you guys know the options. You got public, private, charter, online, homeschool, and micro schools are starting, like Prenda and stuff we've heard of.
Can I pause you right there? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I know some moms that don't know the difference between all of these different types of schools. Do you mind just kind of giving a couple of quick little description on each?
Yes. So public is your neighborhood school. It's the one you're, quote, assigned to go to, and they are usually a part of a larger district. The private schools obviously are not always, but often the religious schools, the Christian schools, tuition's involved. Charter schools are still public. They're called public charters. Charter schools were started because someone said, hey, I think I can do a school a little better, and here's my idea and my niche. And they went to the state and they got a charter and they started their school. They received public funds. They're not usually religious schools. They're just doing things a very specific way. And then online schools, so there's so many, and you can be online, you can be anywhere, go to any of them. They don't have to be Arizona-based ones. Those were, like some of us were all doing with COVID that work from home. Some of us still love it. And then homeschool, of course, you teach your own kids. You can be part of groups for that. There's CoOps. You can do PE classes together. And then micro schools. Micro schools have really started gaining popularity since COVID. And Prenda's a big one where you get in small groups and you meet in someone's home. And either a parent teaches, and it can be all boys or all girls, or just a couple certain grades together. And it gives you a little more freedom to be in control of your child's education. So those are most of the options. I did a little research, and did you know there are more than 1,300, and I'm rounding down, elementary schools in our state?
No. That's mind-blowing to me.
That is so much. We have so much choice in Arizona. If you look at our whole country, Arizona, we have a ton of choice, which is great, but overwhelming too.
Well, where I came from back east, you went to the school that was on your side of town, and that was it. There were no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and smaller town, so we didn't really have the private school and all that. But
right. Well, I love our school choices. I think it's great to have so many options. Just like I want to be able to pick my kid's doctor they go to. I really,
Mhm.
they see the doctor 2-3 times a year. I really
Right.
want to pick where they're going to spend all week, 40 hours or so. So I kind of feel like I do what you do for homes, I do for schools. You help families find the best homes, right? And the best fit, and you look at what they need and what they want. And I do that for schools. I help families find the best schools.
That's
And
awesome.
a little interesting fact is it's not really which one do you do first, like do you find a home first or a school first? I'm sure you get asked that a lot. How are the schools around here? And actually, a lot of my clients have said they would move for a school, which I found a little bit interesting because that's, part of finding a school is it doable? Can I actually drive there?
Right, right.
With a bus or whatever. So those are the main options, those 6 choices. And I want to make sure parents don't feel stuck. Like I know a lot of us are quick, myself included, was quick to rule out maybe a private school because you go, wow, tuition and 3 kids, I can't do that. But
Right.
I wanted to share that there are so many resources that you should not feel stuck. I think parents should explore every option that they want and pursue options. Real quick, I'll just mention ESA. It's an empowerment scholarship for Arizona students that can help them go to the school of their choice. And ACSTO, which is a tax credit that helps you pay for tuition.
Yes.
So go to Love Your School. I think we tagged that. It's a nonprofit just helping families learn about all of their choices and helping get them to where they want to be, not just where they feel they have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we have a ton of elementary schools in our state, a ton. I can't possibly even get to know all of them. So we are going to have educational consultants all over the state who are in those areas, know those schools, are in those schools, and can really offer great advice. So again, the goal is that every child should love their school, every parent should love their school, and know that boundaries are not prohibiting us from going where we want to go.
Absolutely. So let's go back to my situation. So if I would have known you and I would have called you up and said, hey, here's what I'm doing and here's how I'm figuring it out, what would you have told me?
Well, I would have you think about, and I want everyone to, how do we choose our schools? And you mentioned ratings. Nothing bad, that's something to consider. The top 2 answers I get when I have my clients think, how did you pick your school? Or how did your parents pick your school? The top common answers is that, well, it was where we're supposed to go. That's where our home wasn't a boundary for. Or they say, well, my friend's kids go there and they said they really like it, which there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't say that that's necessarily the best fit for your child. So I would have said, let's look at your specific situation. Let's look at your family and your child and make a decision. So let's see if we can walk through how to choose.
Okay. I was hoping you'd do that.
Yeah, how to choose. And it's a big decision. Our kids are spending 40 hours a week here. It's not a small thing. And there are so many factors. We all know all these factors, right? Like location, class size, curriculum, foreign language, sports, SPED and gifted programs. Even our own school experiences come into what we want for our child. So lots to consider. But how do we make any big choice? We break it down, right? What do you need? And then what do we want?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need in a school? And some people go, well, for them to be educated, of course. But
right.
think of needs, like, let's start logistically. Like, can you physically drive to that school? Do you need a bus? Do you need before school care with your work situation?
Oh.
Does your child have medical needs that need to be addressed? Do they have speech? My child had speech. And granted, all schools can accommodate, but that's a need. My child needed speech services. And so logistical, medical, look into all the needs first. And those are usually a shorter list. Then you get into the wants. And this is where we get all the topics. I do or don't want uniforms. I want, a certain math curriculum. I want a robust sports program. I want Spanish to be taught. There's so many things. When I created the list to go thoroughly through this with my clients, it's 5 pages long.
Wow. 5
pages to get through a thorough search. So start making a list. What do you need in a school? What do you want in a school?
I don't even know the questions to ask myself though. So it's good that you have something. So what you have is something that people can just fill out, like a questionnaire?
Yes, I haven't actually given it to my clients. I usually sit down with them and I scribble as fast as I can. because I find when we have the conversation that I learn more than if I just read what they wrote.
Right,
We
right.
sit down, my clients, when they want to do a school search and they know they want help doing it, we sit down for about an hour and do an intake and just go over all the things. And some things, you know, you've talked about and you know how you feel about maybe STEM programs and, or, you know, diversity is really important to me. But then we usually get to one or two things. They're like, well, I don't really know how I feel about that topic. We need to have a drama program. I'm not sure. So we just go through the things and gauge how important things are to families. They either know, oh yes, we really need that. And so, you know, pay attention to your family and what's important. What is your child good at? What do they like? And then once you've looked at needs and wants and made a list of schools that are doable for you to drive or get a bus to or carpool, then tour the schools. Get in those schools. Figure out what they have, what they offer, and what they don't. And one of the biggest tips, I guess, to say is ask what the school's philosophy is. Ask why, if it's a charter, why was this charter started? What were they thinking they could do better? And what is their discipline philosophy? I definitely give my clients, I usually tour with them, but I usually will give them a list too if I can't and say, these are good questions to ask when you tour. Go online, print out all the tour questions and take it with you, do tours. And consider your child's learning style too. Like I have a kinesthetic learner, James, he has a hard time sitting on his Zoom. He like to jump around and touch things and
Same.
yeah. And I have an auditory learner too, who is just doing wonderful with online schooling because he just has to listen to a bunch of videos. So consider your child's learning style when you look at schools. There are tons of free quizzes. I've got some posted on my Facebook page where you can find out what type of learning style your kid is. One of mine was not what I thought he was. I thought he was visual. So take a little quiz. They're like 6 to 20 questions and find out what learning style and consider that.
Oh, that's good to know. Thanks for that advice. Never thought of that.
Yeah. And find out your own learning style. I know I'm a very visual learner. I want to see how it's done. And because the child's learning style can influence what school they go to. Montessori schools are very good with hands-on.
Right.
Very classical schools are very good for visual and reading, writing learners. So granted, we all can learn in different ways, but a learning style is just how you learn, remember, recall information.
Right.
The best. It's just like a subconscious preference we have. So common mistakes when choosing a school. Let's go over a couple of things to avoid.
Yeah.
Well, the number one mistake is forgetting to look at the big picture. We get a lot of kindergarten clients who look at all the kindergarten options and forget to look at 4th, 5th, 6th grade, knowing that they might want their kid to be there later on. They just look at the right now, what's coming up next. So remember to look at the big picture. You know, look beyond the year that they're going into. Look beyond kindergarten. Look, where does this school feed? Think ahead. Think to junior high, and think about siblings. I'm gonna say, hey, we're gonna have 2 kids here in another year. So plan ahead. Look at the big picture. Another mistake we often hear is that they're distracted by the aesthetics of the school. This school looks so nice. It had a brand new coat of paint, or the opposite. You know, this school could really use some help, and it totally distracts from the educational quality of what we're looking for. So don't make that mistake. Don't just look. I mean, yes, it's important. We all would like a beautiful everything, homeschool, but focus on the education while you're there and not how it looks, because that will change.
Good advice. Yeah.
Another mistake parents often make is not getting onto the campus. This is probably the biggest one, and I know it's the hardest right now with COVID, but get on the campus. Not just tour, but look for their school events and attend. They usually have math and science nights, science fairs, literacy nights, any event they have going. If you're thinking about going to that school, go to the event. Go check it out. That's how you get the culture and the feel of the other families and the parents, and get your kid on the campus and see if they like it. See if it feels like a fit. So, and with that being said, you know, that's doing a lot of firsthand research. Don't just rely on other people's experiences. Do your firsthand research. Get there and do it yourself. We talked before, and it was, you know, good. You see on Facebook every day parents asking questions. What about this school? What about this school? And there's a lot. Yeah, all the time you see it. And there's nothing wrong with hearing other people's experiences. But I often read the comments and it says, oh, we love this school. And the next comment is, we just pulled our kids out of that school, you know? And so you're like, I don't know what to believe now about this school. You know, I'm hearing comments all over the place. So my tip would just be to Pay attention to everything that is common. If you hear a common thread through among all the comments, pay attention to that, like homework loads a ton, or this administrator is just amazing. So pay attention to the things that you hear said repeatedly in those groups.
So,
and then
sorry.
The last mistake is just not starting early enough. Like,
Ooh.
it is time to start. You need to start, we recommend highly and strongly a year in advance. So if your child is just turned 5 in the last 3 weeks, or will turn 5 between now and August 31st of next year, it's time to start looking for a kinder, because they will go to kindergarten next year. So please start early, because then you can actually have time to go to all those events and sign up for a tour. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of school choice, and with COVID and everyone moving schools, a lot of schools already had wait lists, and those wait lists are even longer now. They're crazy, but they're moving. So for some of those wait lists, if you don't have your application in by December, you're already behind.
You're not getting in.
If you have an app by December, you got tour now, right?
Right.
So start early, plan ahead, give yourself plenty of time.
So and maybe this is something that you guide parents through with your service, but is there any particular tool out there where it lists all the schools and it says, okay, these are all great for music, these are all, is there anything like that? Because I know that there's greatschools.org, but I think that I haven't really been on it in a while, but I think that only compares ratings and maybe a few other things, but I don't know if it has detail like that.
Yeah. Greatschools.org is a really good place to start. It at least gives you a map, and you can see what schools are within your driving range. That's a good place to start, to at least list out all the school options that you have. It does give you ratings. It gives you a lot more about how much diversity, test scores. Some family comments and reviews will be on there. It's a great place to start. There's also niche.com, but that has a little more to it as far as neighborhood feel and not just focused on schools. And there's also Love Your School, like I mentioned, they have a map as well, and that one includes homeschools and co-ops. And I think they'll be adding micro schools in Prenda, so you know where those are too.
Oh, wow. So other homeschool moms homeschool other families too, but it's not under the micro school umbrella?
No, they have co-ops, and if you go on Love Your School, you'll learn about cottage schools as well, which is pretty much like a homeschool co-op where they get together as a group, and maybe this mom will teach science, this mom will teach PE. Maybe they meet once a week and do projects together, do science units. And yeah, absolutely. You can, if you're homeschooling, you do not have to do all of it yourself unless you want to.
See, that's so interesting. And if you would be willing, I'd love to have you on again just to talk about homeschool, because I feel like it's this big wide world that I don't know a lot about. And I have a few friends that do it, and I'm just curious. I'm curious what, is available there.
There's so much. We could definitely do a whole nother live and learn about homeschool, because there's different types of homeschooling. Like, are you more Charlemagne or classical or traditional? And then, your kid's learning styles. My kid is the kinesthetic, so I would match well with this curriculum. There are tons of homeschool curriculums. Do you want to teach each of your kids at a different grade, or do you want to kind of teach them all at the same time? We're all going to do the same unit. So yes, we can definitely do another homeschool discussion for sure.
I'd love to. I mean, it seems like you could almost just have, a group of good girlfriends that maybe live close and kind of all work together. Okay, you go to Sally's on Monday and Jenny's on Tuesday, and, kind of thing. I don't know. Does that seem silly?
No, actually one of my good girlfriends is doing that, and they're doing it through Prenda, and they've just started a little micro school, and they just had their kids do, for PE, they did an actual martial arts course, and one of the dads set it up, and and for homeschool, a great place to start, I'll just throw this resource out, is Arizona Families for Home Education. It's afhe.org. That has all the information you need for homeschooling. You do have to fill out an affidavit if they're first grade or older, to make sure the state knows where your child is.
Right.
But otherwise, start there for homeschooling information. They've got lots of resources.
Oh, you are amazing. Yes, we'll definitely have you on to talk about that, because now I have all these questions, but I don't have all this time. So, so is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Yes.
Today?
the main thing, the last thing I wanted to teach was just that help exists. It is new. You know, school search consultants is not common. Everyone knows what realtors are and why you need them. Everyone knows pool service and why you would hire a pool service person, but doesn't mean everyone hires them. But school search consultants are becoming quite popular. I want people to know that there is help. You don't have to try to figure all this out by yourself if you don't want to. Just in my research, I found gals in 5 other states who do similar things, help families find schools. There's a gal in New York, a gal who just does San Francisco, Colorado, Oregon. It is becoming a new service, and I'm thrilled that there's people that families can talk to help best find what's going to work for their child.
Yeah, like if I knew that existed, why didn't I know that? I don't know. I'm online enough. Why didn't I know that? But if I would have known that existed 2 years ago, I would have been all over it. I'd have been calling you up in a heartbeat because I was lost. And, you know, my husband was just as lost as I was, but at least we were in it together.
Right. And, you know, obviously I even want to keep my own kids in the same school all the way through. And sometimes that works, but sometimes it doesn't. You might have to reconsider and say, hey, this isn't working. So try it, you know, try a school. And if it doesn't work, reconsider. And we're at a good point to do that, being like the first quarter is ending, you know, did our change for COVID, is it working or is it not? And moms know in their gut right now if they're like, this isn't working. We have to change. Call me and we'll talk about it and figure out if it's something that actually needs to be moved, your kid needs to be moved, or something we can get through. And like I said, if you have a kinder coming up, I think the birth date was like 2015 to 2016. It's time to start looking for your school for next spring. You got to apply. But you know, the most important thing is to stop looking for the best school and start looking for the best fit for your child.
That's a good call. I would have, like I said, really, really enjoyed the opportunity to work with you back then. So if things don't work out with this school, so far so good. But if things don't work out, I'll be calling you. So if I wanted to do that and connect with you and your services, what's the best way for me to do that?
The best way is to go over to my Facebook page. It's just School Search Consulting. And you can message me there. I believe my phone number is there. Send me a text. I do a huge school search, comprehensive search with the families. Or if you just want to just talk for 30 minutes, I do that too. Say, hey, we're just not sure. Like, let's just have a conversation. Call me.
Oh, that's awesome. And I know that's helpful for a ton of people, because the question I always like when I'm discovering something new or I have somebody that's guiding me through is, well, what's the norm? I hate the word the norm, but like, what's the average? What questions do people ask the most and things like that? So those are usually my questions. I like to know what other people are asking, what other people are wanting too, you know, and sometimes that impacts my decision, sometimes not, but I'm always interested in that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
It was awesome meeting you, and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time. There was a lot of information in this video, so mamas, if you are struggling like I was 2 years ago, please call Brittany. She is here, she is ready, and she's experienced. So thank you so much, Brittany.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.